Finally, last night, almost exactly a year after we had our first development meeting about the film What is a Woman premiered on the Daily Wire. It was by all measures an enormous success. We gained more subscribers in a day than at any other point in the company's history. We had more people watching the film than we've ever had watching any piece of content all at once. The movie is, we could say for sure now, a massive hit. But we knew going in that we were wading into treacherous waters. Gender ideology lies deep down at the core of our society's dominant religion, which is leftism. It's expected that if you go near it, if you dare approach the altar, that you do so with reverence. Avert your eyes, keep your head bowed, bow before the sacred cow, repeat the necessary incantations, and then shuffle along, move on. That's how you're supposed to approach gender ideology. To do anything else, to approach this thing with anything less than dogmatic veneration, is an act of unspeakable sacrilege. And to actually question it, to look into its face and challenge it directly, is the ultimate blasphemy. And we all know what religious zealots do to blasphemers. That's what we were expecting here. So it was, in that sense, no surprise that the Daily Wire came under a sustained and seemingly quite sophisticated cyber attack during the premiere of the film. As the film started to play, we were flooded with messages and emails from members who were trying to watch, but were running into all sorts of strange glitches. And even in spite of this, just on the strength of the people who could make it through and access the film, it was still a record-breaking premiere for the Daily Wire. But it became clear pretty quickly that something malicious was happening, and soon our tech team was able to verify. And from here, I'll read from the Daily Wire article about it, because I think the news team will do a better job of explaining the specifics about this than I will. So reading from the Daily Wire article, it says, the Daily Wire came under a sustained DDoS attack during the world premiere of What is a Woman that was intended to disrupt people being able to access the highly anticipated film. Quote, we've confirmed that Daily Wire experienced a significant and sustained DDoS attack tonight meant to disrupt the world premiere of What is a Woman, Jeremy Boring said in a statement. 1 million requests per minute at the peak flooded our system and created challenges for many viewers. The attack began shortly after the start of the live stream of Daily Wire's Backstage program, which preceded the premiere and featured Daily Wire hosts discussing the making and meaning of the film. Many users encountered difficulty accessing the live stream due to the malicious event. A distributed denial of service DDoS attack is a type of coordinated malicious campaign that seeks to shut down a targeted server by flooding the server with extreme levels of traffic coming from bots. The extremely high levels of traffic use up the server's resources and prevent real users from being able to access it. So, in summary, they don't want you to see this film. I mean, they really don't want you to see it. Meanwhile, on Twitter, there were trans activists tweeting out their fantasies about bashing me in the head with a baseball bat. There were other activists organizing a campaign to try and take over the What is a Woman hashtag, a hashtag which, by the way, has been suppressed by Twitter because every time it starts to trend, Twitter just pushes it back down. But the activists tried to hijack it with various lies and insults and defamation directed at me. They were like openly organizing with each other, talking amongst each other, on the social media platform about what sorts of slanderous things they could make up about me. And they were because this is what you can do if you're a trans activist on Twitter. You can be out in the open about, hey, we're gonna make up some, we're gonna defame this guy. What should we say about him? And you can have that conversation, and there's not gonna be any consequence. Now, as I said, this is just the beginning. They hate this film. They're terrified of it. And they hate me for making it. Now, granted, they already hated me before this, but now even more so. And why? I mean, anybody who saw the film, and if you haven't yet, you can go to the Daily Wire right now, become a member, and watch it on demand. It is available to be seen right now. But anyone who saw it knows that I wasn't lying or joking when I said that all I do for the majority of the film is ask simple questions. I'm not going around screaming at people. There's a little bit of that, mostly at the Women's March, because that was just fun. But for the vast majority of the runtime, I'm sitting down with people and asking them the simplest and seemingly easiest questions imaginable. Questions that supposed experts in these fields ought to be able to answer with ease. That's all I'm doing. And that's exactly why they don't want you to see this. It's the emperor has no clothes fable brought to life. Gender ideology lies at the core of leftism. But the core of gender ideology, the core of the core, is empty. It's hollow. There's nothing there. It's all smoke and mirrors and sleight of hand tricks. Everything they say is nonsense. It has no logical or intellectual anchor. It's this flimsy, frail little thing easily swatted away. it can be crushed under the weight of a question. Any question at all, in fact. That was one of the fascinating things about making this film, is that, I knew that what is a woman is going to be a stumper of a question for these people. But what I didn't quite realize is that leading up to that question, really any question at all is a stumper. Any question, if it's asked with actual sincere skepticism, is unanswerable to them. And this is what makes them so angry. I experienced this while filming the documentary. In fact, there were two emotions that came through in nearly every interaction that we had through the course of filming, and that is fear and anger. Two emotions that often come packaged together, right? And the fear mostly came from the average people on the street who you could tell, most of them knew the truth. They understood how ridiculous the claims made by trans activists are, but they were petrified to talk about it, especially on camera, because they've been coerced and cajoled and threatened into silence. The anger, meanwhile, and a good bit of fear too, came from the alleged experts, the academics, doctors, politicians, who stormed out of interviews, lashed out, made accusations, became extremely defensive the moment they realized that I was going to ask real questions. Not even hard questions, just questions, actual questions. They weren't expecting that, because in their minds, the relationship between a learned authority such as themselves and an uneducated flannel-clad bumpkin such as myself is supposed to be one of cult leader and disciple. They're supposed to make declarations and proclamations, and I'm supposed to sit in slack-jawed awe, nodding my head submissively, accepting without question everything that comes out of their mouths. The opponents, as opposed to the proponents, are incredibly open and eager to answer questions, eager to have the conversation. On one hand, you have people curling up into the fetal position because I asked a question. On the other, you have Scott Nugent, who's the woman who transitioned to a man, or transitioned to appear like a man, as she puts it herself in the film. I want you to listen to Nugent talk about the dark reality of gender transition. Listen.
For the first time in history, a marginalized group has a huge dollar sign on the top of their head. We have 5 children's hospitals in the United States promoting that.
What?
That's a phalloplasty. That's a bottom surgery. We have 5 children's hospitals in the United States telling girls that they can be boys at $70,000 a pop in a surgery that has a 67% complication rate. That will kill me from infection that I can't sue on. We're butchering a generation of children because nobody's willing to talk about anything. I have 3 kids. At the age that they're doing this to kids, I'm not transphobic. I love my kids, and I love other people's kids, and you should too. This is wrong on so many levels.
So from Nugent, who is the true hero of the film, in my opinion, we get total openness and honesty, raw, gut-wrenching honesty. From the other side, we get defensiveness, lies, accusations. One side wants us all to talk about this, right? Like, let's talk about this. The other side wants to be the one talking while we shut up. And they'll do anything they can to shut us up. But they will fail, and they already have. Because this film isn't going anywhere. It's on the site right now, available to be seen by anybody with a membership. And if you don't have one, I ask you to go sign up. Nobody else is making films like this. This is the kind of content we can make and will make. We're willing to deal with whatever the consequences are. They're coming after the Daily Wire. They're coming after me personally. And I expect them on the latter thing to ramp that up. The good news is that it won't work. It can't work if we have your support. If we all kind of stick together, there's nothing they can do but scream and cry. If they try to escalate beyond that, if they try to, let's say, make good on those baseball bat to the head promises, then we have other ways of dealing with that, and it will be dealt with, I assure you. But outside of physical violence, any other attack fails if we stay unified. Because that's if there's a united front and they're going to scream and cry, and we just say, well, we don't care that you're screaming and crying. This is a conversation we're going to have whether you like it or not. If we say that, then that's it. They lose. So go to whatisawoman.com and get your membership. Our team is working around the clock to fight this cyber attack. Has, as far as I know, basically gotten it completely under control. If you do run into any glitches, just be patient, stick with us. And remember that this fight, the fight against the sickening, toxic madness of gender ideology, it can be won. We can beat them. We can win. I really believe that. And we have to. We have to win. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and share it with all your friends.